And today we have Haley Zipperer and Alan Ott from CLA. Haley is from CLA and Alan is from Glenn Grothman's office. And so Haley is going to start and talk to us a little bit about her occupation and what she does. And then when she's finished up, we'll go over to Alan. And then if you guys have questions, we can ask those at that time. All right, Haley, you want to take over?
I sure do. So Haley Zipper, I am an accountant. I'm a CPA actually. I work at a public accounting firm. So what we do, a little bit about what we do is doing people's taxes. So we do a lot of business taxes and personal taxes, and that covers pretty much all the tax. We do payroll, sales tax. There's lots of taxes out there. You're taxed on pretty much everything. So we're here to help with anything that you need. And then a couple other parts of our business is that we do like financial audits for companies who are applying for a loan, or sometimes they're applying for a grant for something, or they just basically need their financial statements to be audited by a third party, which is us, and we are supposed to be independent, which basically means that we aren't related to them in any way or anything like that, so that when the bank comes to ask us if their financials look good, or if they are, telling the truth about what kind of money they're making and everything, and we can basically, we give an opinion, and we say whether or not their financials look right. And then kind of the third thing that we do is like bookkeeping and payroll work for clients, which generally is for business clients, and sometimes it's bigger businesses and sometimes small businesses. And sometimes people just have like little personal businesses that they have that will help them out with in case they either have payroll, maybe they don't know how to do payroll, or to put it on their tax return basically, and we'll help them out with stuff like that. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Manitowoc County. I went to Valders High School, and I went to UW Manitowoc for 2 years. Now I think it's called UW Green Bay Manitowoc Extension or something like that. And then I transferred to UW Whitewater for another 3 years, where I got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in accounting. And then after that, I started at what used to be called Schenck in Manitowoc, and it got bought out by CLA 2 years ago now. So I've been working for CLA for 2 years, and then Schenck for 3 years before that. And so, does anybody know what a CPA is? Show of hands. Not really. So basically it's an accountant, but we have to get it's called certified public accountant. So we have to get certified and take a series of 4 really difficult tests in order to say that we're certified as a public accountant. And basically that just means that we're able to help with certain things that somebody else wouldn't be able to if they didn't have a CPA license. Let's see. I guess, okay, so my daily responsibilities, basically I work on a computer all day, every day. Sometimes we work with clients. We'll go out to like a client location for businesses if they need us to help with stuff. But again, it's mostly a lot of the stuff is on our computers. We use Excel and Word and email and all that good stuff. Mostly we have kind of a weird schedule, I guess, year round because of tax season. Does anybody know when taxes are due? Nobody files taxes yet? All right. So personal taxes are due on April 15th, and then some business taxes are due actually on March 15th. So we can get extensions. For a lot of our clients, we'll do that. So basically they will pay whatever tax they think is due, and then they can extend their actual filing until October. So we'll help them with that, but our year-long scheduling gets a little bit weird that way, because January until April 15th, we're super, super busy doing everybody's taxes and helping them with, well, first of all, their income taxes, but then they also have lots of other stuff. If they have an audit, that's usually done at the same time as the bookkeeping work and all of that. So basically from January to April, we work somewhere between 60 to 70 hours a week, which normally would be around 40. So it's almost like we, work time and a half just to get all of that work done. And then in theory, after April, our work starts to slow down a little bit. So it's nice because we get to take off of work and go on vacation. Sometimes we can take a couple weeks off at a time if we want to. Sometimes we can have shortened weeks. We'll take off like on a Thursday or Friday and have 4-day weekends sometimes. So for me, I really like that because I'm not a big winter person. So January to April is when it's cold, and that's when I'm inside working. And then as soon as it starts to warm up, that's when I get to take off of work and spend more time outside and going on vacation and stuff like that. So, and for me, I have a 3.5-year-old and a 3.5-month-old. So we are planning on doing lots of stuff this summer, hopefully, after this pandemic is over. So that's kind of what I'm really looking forward to with this. So, and then specific working conditions, again, we work on our computers. As you can see, I'm at my home right now, which is kind of another thing that's nice. Being able to work through the computer is that we can work from home, or if we have to be somewhere else, we can work from there and still get our work done. And then otherwise, like when we're in the office, we have offices and cubicles, like a general office job. And then sometimes it's probably about half and half. Sometimes we'll work by ourselves. And then other times we will work with clients or with other coworkers, depending on, what we're working on. And which for me, I also like, because I do like to be social and I'm outgoing with a lot of people. But then when I'm working on something very specific, I like to focus on it. So I like to be in my own kind of wheelhouse, and I like to listen to music sometimes when I'm working, which is also another kind of perk, I guess, for the job. That when you're working by yourself, you can kind of get in your own little zone. And then, yeah, mostly we're in the office, and then sometimes, like I said, we'll go out to a client for specific things. And then, so as far as like education and training, I mentioned that I have my bachelor's and my master's degree. You don't have to have your master's degree to become a CPA, but you have to have extra credits to apply for the CPA exam. So it kind of just works out that you end up taking the extra credits, so you get an extra degree. And for me, it worked out well with UW Whitewater is a business school, and they really like focus you in that area. So it worked out well for me the way that worked. So and then after that, you would apply for your CPA license. So you have to apply to take the test first of all. And then you study for the test. It's usually somewhere between a 6-month to a year-long process, where you study a couple months for one exam, and then you take it and see if you pass or fail it. And I think the pass rate is somewhere around 50% or something like that. It's pretty crazy. And basically, if you fail, you have to go back and take it again and take it until you pass them all. So I was fortunate that I did it in like 8 months or something like that. It was pretty difficult, but worth it, I'd say. For me, because I wanted to work in taxes. So that is kind of a big thing for having your CPA license, and learning. Basically, the tests are obviously there so that you learn a lot of stuff outside of school that you might not have had time for, or if you had specific classes, but you didn't get to learn this or that. However, if I talk about like the general accounting, there's a lot of things that we do as a public firm, but there's also accountants that work for businesses or people who have their own businesses that need to know accounting. And there are degrees, there's 2-year degrees, which is usually for like payroll and bookkeeping kind of accounting. And then a lot of times 4-year degrees or master degrees will start you off like working in the accounting department at a company. And sometimes you can move your way up. If you have your master's degree, they'll move you up to like a manager or something like that. So for me, I liked, having more, and I like to know as much as I can know. And it's hard with tax sometimes because the laws are always changing. And so even though we get used to knowing the taxes today, tomorrow the tax law might be totally different. So it's for me kind of like a puzzle to kind of figure that kind of stuff out. And I've always liked math and puzzles and that kind of thing. So that is really why I got into accounting in the first place. And then some advantages and disadvantages. The only thing that I can think of that's like an advantage and a disadvantage is the tax season hours. So obviously it takes a lot out of you, and when you're working that many hours, for 3 months of the year, it gets hard. But there is the upside, that the rest of the year you can kind of take it a little easy, and that, like I said, that's one of the best perks I think about my job. And then for like as far as job outlook, people are always going to need accountants for everything. Taxes are never going away, so there's always going to be something. And it's hard to outsource. There's a lot of people need you to be around, especially in the same area. There's state and local taxes, so you have to have people who are knowledgeable in that area, and that can be very specific, obviously, because there's so many different areas that might have different laws. And then I'd say good candidates for being an accountant. I guess kind of like what I said, generally people are a little bit math oriented. They like to do math and puzzles, but we do use our calculators. So even though I found myself, I went up to Calc 2, I think, in college, and I find myself using my calculator for simple math problems these days, just because I don't want to work so hard sometimes. But there's like so many different types of accounting. So there's really something for everyone. If you don't like taxes, there's always payroll. If you don't like payroll, there's something else, you know? So for me, I think it's nice to be able to look into all the different areas. And many places, I guess, have like a standard dress code. For us at CLA, we actually have, it's called dress for your day, dress how you want, which is also another kind of perk that is nice, because at home, obviously everybody dresses kind of how they want, as long as they're not having a meeting or something on the video. But even in the office, it's nice, because if we're not working with clients, or we're just, you know, kind of going into our office and working by ourselves, we can wear jeans and kind of dress down, like they said, dress for your day. So I personally like that about our company. And I think I am kind of going over my time, so I will wrap it up, and then I'll let you know, or you guys can let me know if you have any questions.
Now we're at my, I need a stick. You know what
We will turn it over to Mr. Alan Ott from Glenn Grossman's office, and he'll tell us a little bit about what he does on the daily and his occupation, and then we will open it up for questions.
All right, the audio was a little muffled there, but I think you just introduced me. So my name is Alan Ott. I'm District Director, Deputy Chief of Staff for Congressman Glenn Grothman. Congressman Grothman represents all of Manitowoc County, all the way down to Ozaukee County, a little bit north of Milwaukee there. And then we go all the way west over to the Wisconsin Dells area. That's about 10 counties. On the eastern side of Wisconsin here. He was elected in 2014. He's elected every 2 years, every even year. He's elected to, or he stands for another election. He represents each congressional district. There are 435 of them in the country, and there are eight here in Wisconsin, and they represent about 780,000 people each. So the geography of each district varies quite a bit, but they all represent the same amount of people. And that's every 10 years we do the census, and that figures out the population of the state and the area. And then the districts are divided up by the state legislature. They will be doing that actually this spring. So that's a little bit about what a congressman is. So he's one of 435 members of the U.S. House of Representatives. They are, every 2 years when the election happens, they decide who the majority is and who the Speaker of the House is. And right now the Democrat Party has the majority, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi is in charge. And for most of the congressman's term, the Republicans were in charge. Each congressional office has two physical offices, one in DC and one in the district. I am in charge of the one here in the district, where we have 6 employees that work kind of in 3 main areas: scheduling, casework, and outreach. So the congressman has a dedicated scheduler, and she actually schedules him both in the district and in Washington. And what she does is we try to maximize the congressman's time, no matter where he is. So he has pretty full 12-hour days on average. And here in the district, he tries to get out and do as many speeches to social clubs, public events, tours of factories, things like that he can, to be accessible to the voters that he represents, so that you can share your opinion on things that are going on. He can tell you what he thinks about it, and he can make sure that he represents the interests of the people here in the 6th congressional district. Those of our folks in our district office that work in casework, what casework is that if somebody's having a problem with an agency of the federal government, the most common being, you're a veteran and you're trying to apply for veterans benefits, or you've been denied a veteran benefit, or you have a question about it, a caseworker can reach out on your behalf to the VA or to any government agency and get an answer a little quicker than sometimes a regular person can calling up, because we know where to go and they tend to respond to Congress a little faster. Another area we get a lot of people reaching out to us is, issues related to Social Security benefits, trouble getting a passport to travel overseas, issues with the IRS, things like that are all things that kind of come before us for our casework team. And then we have folks who do outreach, which in addition to running the office, I do a lot of that. And basically what that means is I get to go out, and when the congressman's in Washington and he can't make it to an event, I can go there and represent him on his behalf and either give an update about what he's doing, or just listen to comments from the constituents that we represent. It also means that when he's here in the district, I'll often travel with him. I'll pick him up at his house and drive him around all day and make sure he gets where he needs to get to on time. Keep track of the schedule and know why we're doing what we're doing, and just to try to make it so he can focus, laser focused on who he's meeting with and what they have to say. So that's a little bit about what the district office does. We also man the phones. We take turns answering the phones, and so when constituents call up either with their opinions on a political issue or their issues with the federal government, we try to get answers to them as quickly as we can. Our DC office is a little bit different. They handle the actual issues that Congress works on. So you have different staffers who are assigned different policy areas, and it's their job to be the expert on that topic. So if that's healthcare, if that's taxes, if that's education, they're supposed to read and be informed on absolutely everything that happens in front of the House on those issues, and be able to answer the congressman's questions. Oftentimes, right as he's walking into a meeting, you want to say, hey, what's the status of this bill? Hey, what does this legislation actually do? And that's kind of their job on that. And they also meet with a lot of groups that represent different industries and individuals, whether they be unions, whether they be business organizations, that sort of thing. And then a few of them are in charge of a specific committee that the congressman is on. So right now he's on the budget, or he was on the budget committee for most of his term. He's on the House Oversight Committee, and he's on the House Education and Labor Committee. So we'll have a specific staffer. Sometimes those committees meet at the same time. So the staffers will be in there the entire meeting, and if he has to come in, they'll say, hey, here's what's been discussed. Here are notes. Here's what's the next topic is going to be. This is what the witnesses have said. Things of that nature. So that's a little bit about the two different offices that we run. We do have internships available in both locations. We try to make those fun for people too. And whether you're in DC or here, you get a lot of face time with the congressman, and you get to interact with constituents and hopefully learn a little bit about our district. My own political story, I guess I have worked for Congressman Grothman since he started in 2015. He was sworn in January 2015, and I started in March of that year doing outreach. I've worked on and off in politics most of my life. I was interested in social studies and American history when I was in school. I went to college to be a political science major. Most of us that are political science majors end up in working in politics some way or the other. It's not required, but I do think it helps. I was interested. I got involved when I was in high school with the local Republican Party, and I was out knocking on doors and doing that sort of thing for candidates. And my first my first political job was working for a Wisconsin governor or for his reelection campaign. I was in charge of this area for him. I'm not originally from here. I'm originally from the northwestern corner of the state, up around Hudson, River Falls area. I've moved kind of all over the state working on campaigns or in politics, but largely I've split my time between this area, Fond du Lac and Oshkosh, and up north in the River Falls area. I was involved in student government when I was in college and in high school. That helps a lot. You meet people. In this business, I really feel like, you know, making connections with people and getting a good reputation is very important, because people tend to want to hire folks they know. You know, the college Republicans or the college Democrats are a great way to meet folks that are interested in this type of thing, and you never know where they'll turn back up in your life, you know, as it goes on. But usually if someone vouches for you to get you in the door, that's a big step. And that's why I can't stress enough, internships are a great opportunity, and then working on campaigns. Sometimes people ask, you know, do you have to be, you know, do you have to agree with the person you work for? And the answer is, of course not, but you do have to represent their views, because the people elected Glenn Grothman, not Alan Ott. So what his opinion is on the topic is what you discuss when you're out and about. But, you know, I'm free to have my own opinion in my private time. Though I think it helps a lot if you know, largely agree with the person that you're working for, because I think it would be hard to get up every day and kind of make the case for something you don't believe in. So I think the first thing you have to do if you want to get involved in either a congressional office or even a political office is kind of figure out which side of the aisle that you sit on as a Republican or a Democrat. We have more than two parties, but we rarely have somebody elected outside of one of the two parties. But there are different kind of stripes. There are different types of Democrats and different types of Republicans on the issues. So I think if you find someone that sort of lines up with you and then try to work for them or intern in their office or that kind of thing, I think that's a good opportunity. If you're somebody who's looking to get elected as a congressman or as a representative, the background tends not to matter. Voters, in fact, I think sometimes like somebody who's not been involved, but there are just different ways you can approach it. I mean, you can start at the very lowest level of government and work your way up. I mean, I think if you look in history, one of our past presidents that I was a fan of was Calvin Coolidge, and I think he held every single elected office you could think of, from state rep to mayor to lieutenant governor to right up and down until vice president and then president. And there's people, you know, like President Trump or President Eisenhower, who just started at the top level and they had a particular, you know, set of issues that attracted people to them and went right to the top. So there's no, this is how you do it. But I think if you're a regular person, you like to be involved in the staff level, I definitely think, you know, getting involved in a college Republicans or college Democrats, signing up for an internship, you know, and volunteering on campaigns. Those are the best three ways I would say to get involved. As far as what are the kind of the perks of the job, there are a lot of cool things that are made in our district. So our district is, out of the 435 members of Congress, we are number one in terms of people who work in manufacturing. So we make a lot of cool products here in our backyard. And part of my job, part of the congressman's job, is to get out and learn about what people do and what they make. And there's just a lot of really cool products. And in Beaver Dam, for example, we got to tour a business where they design and build water parks and swimming pools all over the world. And they've got an actual water slide, you know, that winds its way through the ceiling of our office, or their office. There's a cool place. I'm a fan of the NHL, and every time somebody scores in the NHL, they play the goal horn. Well, those goal horns are actually made in Manitowoc, and we got to tour the company that makes those. Over in Oshkosh, we've got a company that makes the armored vehicles that our soldiers travel in the United States or wherever they are in the world. We've got to tour that, and I actually got to drive a couple of those a few different times. You also get to meet some important people. You know, I've met the last couple of governors, you know, just in this job, and they would know who I am, and you know, a lot of important business leaders and things like that, community leaders. You get to know, actually they know who you are, and that's, that's kind of a neat thing. But I would say the overall benefit is definitely that you get to be involved in making a difference. There are people that contact our office that are kind of at their wits' end over an issue, and we're able to work with them and get a resolution in a positive way, and that's very rewarding. A couple of years ago, I met with a gentleman who flew airplanes in the Vietnam War for the CIA, and because he wasn't officially an Army personnel, he never got any recognition, and some of his co-pilots were shot down, and they never received any recognition. But because I happened to be at a speech that he gave about this issue and introduced him to our congressman, and they had a meeting, there's now a bill before the U.S. Congress in both the House and the Senate to give those folks some recognition. And that's a pretty cool thing to know that, that I had a small part in, but still nonetheless a part in something that's pretty cool. So that's kind of a little bit about me. Let me look quick to see if there was anything else that I didn't mention. You don't need a license to do my job. The average, I would say, beginning wage is probably around $35,000 a year. But the high end, it could go up as staff to about $120,000 a year for a senior staff. And the actual congressman, it gets up into the $180,000 a year job. Every day is different. It's hard to describe a typical day, especially with the coronavirus, because I used to be out of the office quite a bit, and I still get out every once in a while, but a lot of those events aren't happening right now. So for the most part, we're working either at home or here at our computer. But in normal times, and hopefully those will be back soon, you'll spend about a half your day in the office and half your day out talking to folks, and then you kind of come back and write up reports and things like that. So I hope that answers the questions. It looks like I'm probably close on time too, so I guess we'll throw it back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have 2 boys and 2 girls here. Guys, do you have any questions for either Haley or Alan? No? All right. Well, you guys did a great job. I had a list of things to make sure we're covered, and you guys did them all. So my questions are answered. We're at 31 minutes, so we did great on time. We appreciate your time. I know my students appreciate your time, and the students around the county do as well. So thank you and have a great day.